Yo, what's cracking, folks? In this video, we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite topic, upset clients. So this can happen to good contractors, bad contractors, medium contractors, I suppose, and it has happened to us. So it's really how you deal with upset clients that's really going to impact your reputation and your future business, not whether or not you're going to have upset clients. Josh and I had a scenario a couple years ago where we transitioned from who was managing the residential side of things versus who was managing the commercial projects. So some of our clients kind of got lost in the transition where we weren't communicating well with them. And we had a situation where I had a phone call from a client that was formerly dealing with Josh that was now dealing with me. And it was the most pissed off I've ever heard anyone talk on the phone, like just right out the box. Like I answered my phone, I said, "Hi, this is Jeremy," and I was just getting blasted. And our client was very upset. He did not like how we were handling things, and we hadn't done any work for him yet. So it was just a matter of scheduling and getting back to him with the estimate and things like this. So the key point here is that scenario was interesting because it was actually Josh's fault, but I was the one getting yelled at, so I didn't really feel like I had any culpability. It was just kind of like, well, yeah, I'd be pissed off at him too. But I let the client get through his venting and kind of vent his anger. And in these scenarios, even if it is your fault, if it isn't your fault, doesn't matter. You don't want to start getting defensive. That is a way to amp things up and escalate things to, an argument, a screaming match, an altercation that's really not going to benefit anyone. So what I did is I let our client kind of get through his spiel, and I just said, I'm so sorry. It is 100% my fault. Josh and I have just been going through a transitionary period where we've been switching around accounts. You got lost in the kind of in the tumult, and that's just it was a reality. So it was our fault. It was completely our bad. And once I acknowledged that he was right, just things calmed right down. I then got his information. I made sure I knew where the estimate was taking place and what I needed to do to kind of move the job along to the next phase. I got him scheduled. I did all the things. And that was a number of years ago. And right now he is one of our best clients. Like, he's super nice guy. He loves us. He has us in his home, his daughter's house. Like, we've done a ton of work for him over the years, and we got off on a horrible foot. So it's just because someone's mad at you doesn't mean you can't fix it. And that was just an example of, it wasn't anything malicious on our part. It just, things got lost in translation, and we were able to rectify it and move forward. So that was, I think to this day, that's probably the most pissed off anyone's ever been at me for something that was completely not my doing. So that was how we handled that one.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that one. But I'll talk about what you do when a feeder's upset, because a lot of times feeders will supply you with a good portion of your business, and it gets very scary when they get upset with you. So we've definitely dealt with this a couple times. And one time, a feeder told us that a client was not happy with the work that we performed. I did not know this because she didn't say anything to us. She wanted some weird glitter paint on the wall that I thought was a bad idea and would look horrible. We did it. It didn't look that good, but she didn't say anything, and she paid us. I realized I couldn't do anything to make this job better. So what I did was it was probably about a $1,200 job. I wrote her a check for $1,200 with an apology letter and sent it to her without, calling her or anything. And then as soon as she got the letter, she gave me a call immediately. And she said, you do not need to refund the check. It was more me. I shouldn't have picked this weird color, and I shouldn't have done this. And previously she told our builder that we didn't do a good job, and she was unhappy. She tore up the check, mailed back the tore up check, and then hired us for another job. So that was one way where it really made an impact. And I was saying, hey, if you don't have to pay for this, then all the responsibility kind of gets off of you. And this worked really well working for one of our big feeders. I was under the impression when this feeder would give us work, it was for a big retirement community, that I had to say yes to everything they asked. So I accepted a job and took a job that I probably shouldn't have, way underestimated it. It was scraping a massive hallway ceiling that was popcorned.
I remember that.
And tarping off and using like 20-foot tarps, and it was a really long hard way, try to make it perfectly smooth. Because they were going through a transition where they wanted everything to be perfect in their building, and they were getting pressure. The facility managers were getting pressure from the people, I guess the presidents and the vice presidents, to make everything pristine. So we started doing the job. We did it, and it was a little out of our realm at the time. It was not our area of expertise. And granted, the job was not looking good when we were done. So they would call me and like, can you make it better? We tried to make it better. We couldn't. So long story short, I felt like it was just out of our scope. And so it was, our feeder gave us the impression that everyone in his office was going to get fired if this thing didn't look good. It might have been a little extreme for the case, but what I said is we didn't actually invoice the job yet. And I said, know what? We can't make this right for you. You don't have to pay us. Soon as I said that, all the pressure went off. He realized he could hire someone else to do it and probably not have to pay as much because we did a lot of the prep work. We probably ate about $2,000 on the job. But this is an account that has paid us hundreds of thousands of dollars over a number of years, so it was worth it to us. And all the pressure went away. They found someone who could do the job well, and it was just it was the best thing we could do, and it worked out for both. And they weren't mad at us at all because we pretty much did all that work for free. That is the most extreme case. I've only had to do that once, but it saved us the account, and it really cooled everyone down, and it helped us keep our relationship with the feeder.
And something else as well, if you're working for, Josh is just talking about feeders, and we've talked before about a feeder is someone, maybe it's like another contractor or a builder, somebody that's giving you a lot of work. And so we have a number of these feeders that give us work on the residential side, on the commercial side. And another nice thing to do is if you walk into a job site that your feeder has given you or referred you to or is subbing you or whatever, if you know that the client is actually upset with your feeder, like that's happened a bunch of times, and I always give my my contractor friend or my feeder a call and just be like, hey, I don't know if you knew this, but this client is a little upset with you guys about this, that, and the other. If you can keep the contractors that you work with in the loop on how the client's doing, giving them a heads up to possibly avoid a negative situation or give them an opportunity to rectify it, the feeders have always been appreciative of that information as well, and then they will do the same for you. We've gotten heads up on like, hey, this client's a little problematic, they're not too happy with this or that, and it just is a nice way to have another level of like responsibility and rapport with your guys that are feeding you work, and that's like kind of the contractors network of things where everyone's kind of, it's not that you're against the client, it's just giving each other a heads up, knowing where some problematic areas may arise, and just addressing problems before they become big problems. Is that pretty much what we wanted to chat about?
Yeah, just try to make the problems go away and try to help your feeders, because a lot of time the pressure is not from your feeder itself. It might be his boss or his boss's boss handing down orders from above, and you don't know always like what the whole equation would be, but it would be just try to make the problem right, and if you can't, refund them their money, and they can't be but so upset.
Another thing as well is if you have a client that is upset and you got that client through a feeder, it's nice to let your feeder know that you had an issue with the client and you've rectified it, you're taking the steps appropriate to make it right. I do this all the time with some of our guys that give us a lot of residential work. Just if we run into a little snafu with whatever it is, just a little issue with the client, we had a miscommunication, we had this, they're a little upset, but we fixed it. It's a really nice way to keep your feeders in the loop, knowing that your feeders want to be assured that you're taking care of the clients that they're recommending to you. So that's an important piece of things, to just keep them in the know and then let them know that you're taking responsibility for any issues that are arising. All right, so we just went over how to deal with problematic clients or upset clients, and keeping your feeders in the know, and retaining the respectability of your reputation and all of that good stuff. So take responsibility, don't get defensive, and do well, move on to the next one.